Actually, every training exercise is measured in this way. So for every training exercise, we know what the physical work is they have to do. Here you see a triangle. There's this exercise, search a line, and a position play. And what you see is that these type of passing exercises give a quite different physical picture. In the triangle, the distance run and sprint is the most, but in the search a line, you see that they sprint more. So based on that type of information, you can fit in these type of training exercise in your periodization, in your planning model. So the advantage is now that for every training exercise, we know for the team and on the individual level what the training load is. We have benchmark for every player, how they perform, and over the season we can actually monitor our players in this aspect of physical work. Now, short wrap-up of findings, and we have to understand that the coach is always the reference in judging performance of the team and the individual player, and it's always in relation to the system of play. And that's one of the problems at the moment with the events we get. We get how many passing. For example, Barcelona had twice as much passing as Manchester United, maybe 3 times. But that in itself is not a performance factor, because Manchester didn't want to have the ball. They gave Barcelona the ball, but the moments they conquered the ball, yeah, that was their moment, and that was the moment they should get chances. So it's always in relation to the system of play. But I think we need additional quantitative information about the game. The work performance in a physical sense, but also in a tactical sense. I think the supporting staff, in Holland we are very fond of embedded sports scientists, but in many sports we think that's a breakthrough, because then the scientist together with the coach on the training floor is talking about the program, talking about steps they have to make in all aspects, should very well understand the game. And only when you understand the game quite well, I think you can advise the coach what to do and what should be the next step. I think it gives big advantages to monitor on a permanent, actually daily basis. And you can monitor your training load, the execution of the training, the performance in the training, how do they perform, and also the performance in the game. So you get a lot of data on a very regular basis, and all small changes in these factors, you can easily detect and make a judgment what to do. In this respect, new technology like position measurement has a very great additional value, I think, to get quantitative information, and you can use that as input to plan your training process. Now, what are, I think, from the perspective of soccer, very interesting developments and promising areas of research. I think that game sense, anticipation, decision making is crucial. If I look and watch at top level, too many players still have a lot of difficulties in the speed of the game, the space they get to make the right decisions. And often you have to make the decision already before you get the ball. The ball is over there and maybe one step going behind. Change the complete situation. And that's the discussion. Should I run faster? Should I run more? I think that Manchester United ran twice as much as Barcelona yesterday. At least twice as much. If you have seen it, after 60 minutes, most players of Manchester United were not able anymore to play the game. They had big difficulties. There were a lot of faults and they lost easily the ball. So fitness is important, but in the game of soccer it is not as fitter you are, the better you are. But there is a threshold. If you are under that threshold, you are in problem. You're running into problems. But game sense is a crucial one. And I think we have new possibilities, options with position data. We can create again the game in a three-dimensional way, virtual reality, and you can put the player back in his own game, create the same situations, and check with him what was your choice. Now look around, what were other possibilities? So I think that in this area we have new technology, new possibilities, and hopefully that can help our players to develop in this aspect. I think that talent detection and development is important. We have heard from several speakers today what's at the moment the scientific status of that. In my opinion, if you select, detect and develop, the game is always a very important aspect in monitoring the development of players. But we know, for example, for Rolf Vijens, he did a lot of research in this area, that every age group has its specific characteristics and factors that are important under 14 to perform are not per se that important under 16 or under 18. So it's very difficult in a certain age group to say this is the talented guy and he will make it, because all the factors are very important in that age group, but not per se later on. I already talked about that current game data are mostly event-based, and we need to look much more at interactions, dynamic patterns. But if we have 40 times a second positions of all the players, we can also look at interactions. So that creates a complete new world, I think, for analysis and research. Recovery is a crucial factor in the top. We have to find out better what are the relevant parameters to monitor the recovery, what are the timelines in recovery, what's the effectiveness of measures. And yesterday we had a great talk about this topic, and I think that was a good start looking in this area. And of course training is important. I had a great presentation about high intensity training, but you have to be aware that in a week you have 3 games or two games. You have tactical training, technical training. So there are a lot of elements to attend to. And it's always a choice. What combination, complex training, what combination of training, exercises do I plan? Because on game day, they have to be ready to perform maximal. But it's a very big area. We don't have a lot of scientific proof. We have more information about separate training programs, but the combination from programs. So I think this is a major area for the future to do research. And there I will conclude this presentation, and thanks.
Thank you. Anyone has a quick question for Jos?
Yeah.
A lot of that research, all what you're doing, is fantastic at that elite level, but how might you go about doing that in your youth academies or in a youth academy that doesn't have those sort of resources available to them, and yet help the players with the development of some of those points that you've brought out as being important?
Yeah. The developing go fast. So I think a lot of technology is very expensive at the moment, but if you scale it up, and the nanotechnology, I think creates new opportunities. So I'm not that pessimistic that maybe in 5 years, these type of systems are standard. If you're a high quality youth academy. And we know that if we buy a player for 50 million euro, it's always a choice. Eh? How do you spend your money? Part of the money should be spent in these elements, although we need also people who understand soccer and who understand the data you get out of these type of systems. So we have to invest in people who are on the training floor, can speak with the coach, can handle that type of data, and can translate that data into programs, in advice, in writing. So I'm not that pessimistic. I think in not that long time, this is actually the standard.
Thanks.